The X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell is largely an opinion talk show. All opinions, comments, or statements of fact expressed by Rob McConnell's guests are strictly their own and are not to be construed as those of the X-Zone Radio Show or endorsed in any manner by Rob McConnell, Relmar McConnell Media Company, the X-Zone Broadcast Network, its affiliated networks, stations, employees, or advertisers.
All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X-Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
And welcome back, everyone. 1-800-610-7035 is our toll-free number. Email xzone at xzoneradiotv.com, on MSN Messenger, xzoneradiotv at hotmail.com, and our website, www.xzoneradiotv.com. My guest this hour is no stranger to the X-Zone. Dr. Shelley Kaehr is our guest this hour. We're going to be speaking about stones. We're going to be speaking about psychic readings, and a whole lot more. For more information on Shelley, her website is www.shelleykaehr.com. And Shelley, welcome back to the X-Zone.
Rob, thanks for having me back.
You're way down in Texas. The heat's 110 degrees. How is it affecting our friends in Texas? How do you guys cope with that kind of heat on a continuous basis?
Can I say it's hot as Hades? Can I say the word Hades on this program?
Actually, you can even say it's hot as hell.
It is hot as hell. I don't know. It's really affecting people. I don't really like to be out in the heat, so I tend to get more work done in a sense, but it's really, really bad.
Well,
we've been having rolling blackouts and the whole thing. Although when I was a kid, I lived in Phoenix, so really it's like this all the time there. But for us, it's been very difficult.
Shelley, last time you were on the show with us, we were discussing rocks and how rocks can actually work with you. And I was just wondering if you could we've got about 2 minutes, if you can tell the audience what the connection between rocks and humans are and how we interact.
Yeah, the reality is that, everything in the known universe is some kind of an illusion. So we have a vibrational frequency as human beings, and all minerals have their own special frequencies depending on what kind of minerals they are. And so basically, if you've studied The Secret and the idea of the laws of attraction, minerals can actually help you change your energy field, and by changing your energy field, you then begin to attract the certain things to you that you want, by either wearing stones, holding them, keeping them in the house or the office or wherever it is you're at. They actually will make a vibrational impact on your physiology, and then depending on whatever it is that you want, which really there's only three things that any of us want, which is love, good health, and that thing called security or money or cash. Mm-hmm. And so the stones, in some degree, depending on, some of them bring different health benefits to you. Some of them just bring cash. Some of them bring physical strength and different things to you, depending on what you need.
In your opinion, Shelley, what is the strongest of all stones? Or are crystals stronger than stones?
I write a lot about the colored stones in my books, but crystals are probably, as far as amperage, they're very, very high frequency. They tend to amplify the benefits of all the other different kinds of stones. But as far as in the healing world, I still think that the bloodstone is the top healing stone in the universe. Right now I've been working with a lot of quartz from Tibet that I think has a really special and high frequency because it's mined up there in those beautiful mountains by those monks, and it's a very, very high frequency. And, we use quartz in our computers and in all our telecommunications devices. And so on a more spiritual level, we can also use quartz in our daily lives to, amplify things and assist us with different things.
All right, Shelley, stand by. You and I have to take our first commercial break. Exonation, Dr. Shelley Kaehr is our special guest. www.shelleykaehr.com, SHELLEYKAEHR.com, and we'll be back on the other side of this 2-minute commercial break as the X-Zone continues with yours truly, Rob McConnell, from our studios here in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Don't go away. Take a step back in time and discover old Florida cuisine at Marsh Landing Restaurant in Fellsmere. Enjoy delicacies such as frog legs, gator tail, catfish, and swamp cabbage, or enjoy the more traditional cuisine like hand-cut Angus steaks, ribs, and seafood. Join us for breakfast with a southern flair featuring sweet potato pancakes, biscuits and gravy, and much more. Planning a party? Marsh Landing's private dining room can accommodate groups from 8 to 80 people. While you're visiting, enjoy the historic pictures, artifacts, and stories that line the walls. Marsh Landing is truly a unique experience. Marsh Landing Restaurant, 44 North Broadway in historic Fellsmere, or visit marshlandingrestaurant.com. Marsh Landing, old Florida cuisine at its best. Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X-Zone broadcast network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365.
We all desire health, happiness, and fulfillment, but often get in our own way. Repeated patterns that leave us out of control can keep us feeling powerless, frustrated, and unable to move forward in spite of our best efforts. Unconscious patterning disconnects us from our gifts, often destroying the very thing we seek. But there is an answer. We can take charge of our destiny and heal the trauma of our history. Shamanism is an effective ancient modality that can reconnect us with our true selves, empower the creation of our dreams, and return us to health and balance. Cody Alexander is a certified shamanic practitioner and teacher with 11 years' experience. Email healingpathways33@gmail.com or visit codyalexander.net to schedule a long-distance shamanic session today.
Dr. Shelley Kaehr is our special guest, and Shelley, before we went to the break, you were telling us about a bloodstone. Now, where exactly does the bloodstone come from, and how was it discovered?
There are bloodstones in different mines and things around the globe, but the ones that I like the best are from Brazil, which is where most of the colored stone trade is coming out of right now. They're a dark green stone with these little red flecks, and I've talked a lot about this over the years, that bloodstones, when they are placed on the body or worn, sometimes the person actually sucks up the red flecks out of the stone. And I've seen people actually, like with a dark green stone, like a forest green colored stone, come back within 12 hours and the whole thing looks like somebody, like it was clear on one side, somebody just took a bite out of it. So it's as if the stone is actually being physically absorbed into the person's body, and it is a very, very powerful stone in healing. It assists with all kinds of different things, which really I consciously don't even know. I know it helps with lungs and blood circulation and different illnesses and things like that, and it's very, very powerful.
Shelley, is there any scientific evidence to validate what appears to be a symbiotic relationship between stone and human?
I don't know if there's an actual, people have tested the frequency waves of stones. Like there's certain stones that we know are vibrating at the frequency of the colors in the rainbow spectrum. Like the one recently, I'd had a dream that I was going to be bringing in some citrine, because a lot of people right now, as you know, are struggling with economic downturn and layoffs and different things like that. And citrine actually when we hook it up to a little machine, which of course I don't really use machines because I'm more just kind of tuning in or whatever, but it is vibrating at the same frequency as the gold ray, which is kind of the solar plexus chakra center in the center of the person, and it will actually vibrationally shift a person's energy to begin to attract wealth and actual cash to the person.
What other stones have similar effects with humans, not necessarily bringing in or attracting wealth, but how can other stones help people in the day-to-day life?
Well, okay, let me back up in my mind here that's busily working. Again, I mentioned at the first segment that we want either to balance ourselves to bring better health or that feeling of being loved and accepted, and or that umbrella of security, which includes I have a roof over my head and different things like that. And so the different stones will interact with the person and bring different things. And one of the most powerful ones also is called kyanite. And this one tends to balance all of the layers in the person's energy field. And so when you're balanced, you know how like when you just feel out of balance, you're swirling around in chaos, which unfortunately a lot of people are right now.
Yeah.
The kyanite tends to just kind of calm the panicky feeling that we have down and just kind of calm the energy systems down so that order can be restored from the chaos. I don't know if that answers your question, but so every different stone can tend to bring different things to the person.
When you're talking to different people who come to you for the work that you do with stones, is there a process that you use in order to see which stone would be best for them?
A lot of times, like last weekend and a few weeks ago, I teach gem healing courses, and so one of the things I'm talking to people about is that you're attracted to different things for a reason, and it's not always about the aesthetics or the beauty of the thing, but it's more about the energetic quality. So sometimes I can just stand back and watch somebody go up and pick out a stone, and then you can kind of tell what they're working on based on the thing that they're attracted to. But I usually will show people a variety of different kinds of stones and then discuss the energetic properties with them. And the thing is, it's interesting is, when I first started writing books about gemstones, which unbelievably has been 11 years ago, time flies, I didn't read a lot of other people's books because I didn't really want to know exactly, I'm trying to just create my own thing. But then later I went back and started reading those, and a lot of us are saying the same thing about what different stones will do for people. And so I really do believe that there is like a consciousness in each one of these minerals that can be tuned into just the same way somebody's tuning into the X zone tonight, almost like it's a frequency that some of us are tuning into. That said, I also like to tell people, what I report on in my books and on programs like this is things that I've seen over the course of so many years that have either worked for myself, first of all, that's where it started, and I've seen work for some of my clients, but that each stone really does interact with the person differently. So some people would have a completely different experience with these things, and they just have to kind of experiment with them and try it. But I do believe that, there's so much that I've seen lately anyway, just people expressing just chaos, and they don't know what to do, they don't know where to turn, and I believe that some of these situations, I'm not saying that stones are going to save the world and turn the economic downturn back into the great place that we all know that we're living in. I mean, I think everything comes in cycles, but I do think that stones and minerals are one of the tools that we could use to assist us as we're trying to move through this transition. And a lot of people are being faced with needing to turn in different directions as far as career, or, what are they going to do for a living, or where are they going to go live, and all kinds of things. So, because it's just a matter of changing frequency.
How would a stone help them do that? I have a hard time trying to understand how a simple stone can actually help someone to better focus, get a better job, have peace and harmony in their life when it's just a stone.
I know it sounds unbelievable, Rob, but they really will make an impact on the person's vibrational frequency. I've been dealing with a lot of people lately who are kind of in a state of panic lately about different things. And there's certain stones, like one in particular that comes to mind is selenite. That is another one that just brings a lot of light into the person, and it relaxes those energy centers that I mentioned earlier. Not that that's going to immediately turn the boat around, but I think that there's a certain mentality. You know, I think everybody out there knows what I'm talking about. When you're in the middle of a situation that's so stressful and so panicking, or whatever you want to call it, that you can't really see past the chaos that's swirling around you, people need some kind of tool that's going to calm them down so that they can kind of see more clearly and move through that. And yes, they could go to the pharmaceutical company and get whatever it is that we get, or we could start turning to more natural remedies and things like that. And I really know that some of these stones really will powerfully calm you down enough just to say, okay, let's take a deep breath. Let's just take a look around and see what's going on.
I was just wondering if that's why people like going to the beach so much, is because of the sand, and the sand is just a total mixture of all the different types of stones and rocks. And could this be a calming factor of the beach as well as being near the water?
Absolutely. The beach itself has all the silicon in it. You know, a lot of beach sand, like one of my favorite beaches is Pensacola, and that's just a clear quartz silicon sand. So it's like you're standing on quartz, and that's just energizing you. Plus, the salt water in the ocean. You know, people take sea salt baths because inside that sea salt is part of the elements of all the elements on Earth are in there, and it really energizes people. Aside from the fact that the salt in the water, salt is a very magical substance that tends to just cleanse the energy. And once again, what we're talking about is just kind of clearing your mind, clearing your energy field so that you can just calm down and get a perspective on things. So absolutely, it's healing to do that.
Are stones more effective on men, women, older people, younger people, or it really doesn't matter? They're effective on everyone who uses them.
It's interesting because, in the, let's call it the woo-woo, the new age, whatever we want to call this that we're in, in my classes, there's always more women there than men. And so, we could say, well, it's more effective for them, or maybe they feel the energy from stones maybe more than some men do. But whether you believe in what I'm saying or not, whether you come to the classes or not, it's still affecting people whether they know about it or not. Like when I was a kid, we used to go out to the mines and stuff, but at that time I wasn't really aware of how the stones were specifically affecting our energy. But I just liked them, and we have in Dallas where I live, there's lots of gem and mineral clubs, and these people are really into, they're rock hounds. They like to go out and hike in the mountains and collect their big tub of stones and stuff on the weekends. And so, there's something about it that's energizing them. And they don't, you don't have to consciously understand that it's actually making a real impact on you. It's as long as it's making you feel happy and energized, then, that's a good thing.
We've got about a minute left, Shelley, before I have to take my news break, and I was just wondering if you have found more and more people coming over to the New Age genre looking for answers than, let's say, 5 years ago.
I think it's more acceptable now. I guess maybe Oprah and other people, and then, of course, the X Zone and different programs just getting information out about alternative healing and things. I don't feel like, I need to hide in a corner when I come out in public and try to tell people what I do. More people have heard about these things. As far as, I think that it's more mainstream. It's not like, we need to go to my friends used to call the psychic shop down the road from our house the spooky shop. It's not spooky anymore. It's just more out in the open. It's more out in the mainstream. So I think that some of the old, like, let's say, New Age shops, a lot of those have closed now. And different kinds of stores and energy centers and healing centers are opening up with kind of a different energy about them, because the whole thing, it's like somebody just pulled the veil off.
All right, Shelley, I've got to take my news break. Please stand by. Shelley Kaehr is our guest. www.shelleykaehr.com. X-Zone.com. My name's Rob McConnell. This is the X-Zone. We'll be back after the news. Don't go away.
This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X-Zone Broadcast Network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan, and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember, 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365.
There's a legend shared by many indigenous cultures of a time when the nations were cast to the four corners of the world. Each nation was given a body of sacred knowledge that held a different portion of the truth to preserve. True reality could not be known until all the nations reunited, combining the information. If a single one was missing, the world could not be reborn and darkness would prevail. The Science of Magic Radio is dedicated to reuniting the sacred knowledge. With the understanding, none of us has all the answers, but together we can open new perceptions and possibilities. Through our combined vision, the world can be reborn into a place where darkness no longer prevails. Join me, Gwilda Wiyaka, and the Science of Magic daily on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, xzbn.net, or visit us at thescienceofmagic.net.
Dr. Shelley Kaehr is our special guest, Exonation, www.shelleykaehr.com. So, Shelley, you're still doing your courses with GEMS, but you and I were talking a little bit off air that now you're even participating doing psychic readings at psychic fairs.
Yes, Rob. I hate to tell you that. You and I think, have had a love-hate relationship with the word psychic over the years. You know, I was really guided that I needed to go out and do this. I don't think people perceive me as a reader, but when you're doing energy healing with people for many years, which I have been, you tend to just know, you tend to tune in to what's going on with them, or you have conversations with them. And I think that, I don't like the idea of people becoming dependent on that kind of information. When I do a reading, I really just ask people to tell me kind of what's going on, and then I feel that I'm more of a creative problem solver. Like a lot of the people who have been coming to me lately are, they've lost their jobs, they don't know what to do, and I think they just need somebody to help them move through some creative ideas about what to do in the future, And when I go to this, like I'm going to be, before this show airs, I'll be going to the Dallas Psychic Fair tomorrow to read, and it is just packed. My whole schedule's packed before I even walk in the door, and I just feel like people really need direction and guidance right now, and so it's just something I feel like I want to help,
Why would a person go to a psychic instead of a psychologist or a job counselor? What does a psychic do that a professional can't?
Are you saying I'm not a professional, Rob?
You're not a professional psychologist. You're not a professional when it comes to career counseling, I don't believe. Where I'm talking about John Q. Public, instead of going to a professional to help them solve their problems, why go to a psychic? Is it because psychics are cheaper than professionals?
That could be one reason. definitely at a fair like this. The readings are very affordable. I think a lot of times also with what we were talking about before the last break, why is this whole industry a little bit more mainstreamed than it used to be? I mean, it's the word's getting out more about it, and also I think a lot of people have been to the professional psychotherapist, or they've been to the job counselor, or they've been to the career fair or whatever, and whatever that is, maybe it just hasn't been working for them, so they're reaching out and they're searching for something else.
But could the problem be with the person themselves and not the counselors that they've been seeking, that they are the problem, they are the reason why they're in the situation that they're in, and that it has nothing to do with psychic phenomenon, ESP, or any other facet, that they could be in fact looking for an excuse when they themselves are the excuse?
Well, there's got to be that aspect of personal responsibility, which unfortunately I think that's one of the reasons why we haven't enjoyed the psychic word or profession, because a lot of that field doesn't require the person to take any kind of personal responsibility. I really don't work like that.
Yeah.
I really want people to step up to the plate. I mean, if it's my belief system, I mean, people don't have to buy into this or whatever, but I really believe that we incarnate on this earth to have experiences, to learn something, and to have growth experiences. And so in order to do that more fully, we all do have to take responsibility. If we worked in that field and now it's gone, we still have to take responsibility for the fact that you're going to have to get up and figure out something else to do. And one of the things that's come up that I've been having conversations with other people lately is, we live down in Texas, and so there's a lot of, there's a lot of Mexicans who come up here and do jobs that, let's face it, the white man doesn't really want to do. This is just something that's been on my mind because I've been talking to different people. I've been hearing a lot about this. But see, the problem is, we sit around and say, oh, well, we don't have any jobs in this country. Well, you know what? We do have jobs in this country, but a lot of people think they're too good to do those jobs. I mean, this is just my opinion.
No,
so,
that's the truth.
We don't want to do it, so at some point, if I'm sitting around saying I don't have a job, I've got to get up and go do something.
That's right.
And take an action. And I can't just expect the government to sit around and give me a handout all the time.
See, speaking about the Mexicans who have come up to the United States illegally, latest statistic is that they are going back to Mexico because of the poor situation in the United States.
That's pretty sad. In Texas where we are, this is a big issue here. And a lot of people are up in arms about it. I personally think, what, if I lived in Mexico and I could come up here and do a job and send the money home to Mexico, I would do that.
But now things are better off in Mexico than they are in the United States.
Yeah, that's part of the problem. I mean, we're seeing, I don't know where this is headed or how long it's going to take to turn this boat around, but we're in some serious doo-doo out here. Can I say doo-doo on this program?
You just did.
Oh, okay. I don't know, Rob. I mean, it's just a big issue in Texas. That's all I'm saying. And I say God bless them. They want to come up here and better themselves. God bless them.
I've had so many psychics on the show, and we used to open the lines and do psychic readings. But I felt as if I was helping people to become dependent on psychics, so I stopped it.
Yeah, the problem is people go, well, tell me, okay, when is that guy going to come in that I'm going to be with the rest of my life? I can't tell you that, and what's been interesting, because, see, I've never put myself out in this capacity before. The only reason why I'm doing it is because I really believe that I can give people some sound and reasonable advice on things. But if somebody sits across from me and they've got their arms crossed and they just want me to read them, I'm not going to read them. Tell me what's going on. I need to hear, I lost my job, or I just got a divorce, or whatever it is. I need to hear something, and then let me help you kind of look at your options. But I don't really want to read the future because, the future is still up in the air, people. It's still, it's still like what we were saying earlier. It's about taking personal responsibility, and you still have choices that can be made about where you're going. You can choose to see the loss of this job is like, oh my God, I need to go to bed, or you can, pick up a couple gemstones, get fired up, and get out there and say, you know what, maybe this is an opportunity. Maybe I need to humble myself and go take that $8.50 an hour job for a little while until something better comes along, or go work at the company. In fact, I had a reading with a guy who was up in Seattle. He was on unemployment, And he said he couldn't find a job. And I said, well, surely there must be some jobs. He goes, well, there was a job, I guess. They called me about this working in a warehouse for Amazon.com. But, you know, I'm a blah, blah, blah. You know, and he was telling me what his profession was. And I'm thinking, you know, but I said, well, why not just go work there for a while? And maybe they'll, you know, you could meet the managers at least, and then maybe you'll get into the corporate department or something. But the problem is I talked to one employer who said that every time he puts an ad out on Monster.com, he gets 2,000 to 3,000 people applying for one little piddly job. You're not going to get a job, people, just putting your resume out on the internet, because you're just a number. Unless you use keywords that are exactly matching every single word in that advertisement, you're not going to get a call. You got to put yourself out and be creative.
I think another problem in today's society is people put too much faith in the internet. The internet has turned people into a lazy bunch of pasturing cows at times. We get a number of self-published authors on the show, and they think because they published the book, they put it on the internet, they're going to become overnight successes. It doesn't work like that.
Right.
The entire system, you know, just having a website is just part of the system. There's the marketing, there's the advertising, there is the networking, there is the cross-promoting, the multitasking that goes along with it. Just because you write a book, self-published, bang, put it on the internet, you're not going to be a millionaire. You're not. And I'll tell you, and I'll tell you something. 99% of all the books that are self-published would never get carried by a publisher because they stink.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. I mean, the problem is you find at some point you actually have to have something that's worth reading.
Yeah. You know, just because you think it's a good book doesn't mean anybody else will. And it's hard for people to accept that.
Oh, my gosh, Rob, we could go into this like Facebook and all this nonsense. I mean, you know, I feel like my material is just floating out in a sea of inertia out there. I can't really be seen, you know. It's just so, because of what you're saying. I mean, everybody's just slapping stuff up on the Internet. And the other thing is the Internet is turning us all into a bunch of mindless drone zombies who can't even go across the street to see if our neighbor's okay anymore. We're just sitting in our houses. We're isolated. It's not good for people. And I think that there's going to be just a lot of more turmoil and stuff. What about our health? We got into our health early. I mean, I'm talking about stones helping you with your health, but just the fact that we're locked in our houses, we're not even getting enough vitamin D, and I mean, I could just go on and on about this. We need to see people. We're social creatures, and yet we're sitting in front of the computer all the time. It's pathetic.
So, Shelley, you've been in this field for a number of years. You've been dealing with rocks and other parts of what we call New Age for many years now. How do you see the New Age genre helping today's society?
I mean, the term New Age, to me, honestly, is probably it's probably yesterday's news on some level to me. I don't feel it's a valid representation of this in the unified field anymore. Like I think I mentioned earlier, I think a lot of the psychic shops have been going out of business and stuff like that. The old spooky shops, because I don't think it's not a paradigm or a thought form or whatever you want to call it that I think is supported in the field anymore. I think it's more broad than that, and it's more mainstream than that. And so I think people are into it, but it's maybe it's kind of like putting a different wrapping paper on the gift. It's the same material, but I think it has to be presented in a different way than it used to be.
You know, there are now websites on the internet that deal in real estate property for the psychic business. So many psychics are going out of business that they're folding up shop and leaving these psychic reading shops open on the market. It's getting really bad out there. In fact, I know of a very well-known and highly respected UFO researcher who's given it up, Paul Kimball. He said it's crazy. It's turned into a monkey farm. It's turned into nothing else but a sideshow game. He says, I'm getting out of it.
See, okay, we're really getting into it today, but
yeah.
I told people I threw my hands up a few years ago and walked away.
Yeah.
But I'll always be back. I mean, I think, for my friends and clients and Exo Nation that I've known for many years, I'm still always here if people need me, but sometimes I also have to walk away because it just does get crazy. I think as I've gotten maybe more mature, hopefully, it doesn't really bother me as much as it used to, some of the stuff that goes on, but it's like what we talked about earlier. It's like a good book. There's one good book amidst a sea of garbage. There's one or two good readers and people who really have their integrity in the right place amidst the sea of garbage that's out there. And so I don't get energetically involved in it anymore. I still spend most of my time now working on my fiction and just doing whatever I want to do, whatever that is. But it's just that lately I really feel like, I need to come out and assist and tell people I am available to assist people because at a really maybe a more affordable price than what I used to be, because I feel like people really need some help from somebody who can actually hopefully give them.
Yeah, but you see what you're saying, advice. Shelley. What you're saying is you want to help them. You don't want to solve their problems. And when a lot of people go to psychics, that's exactly the impression the psychic gives them, that the psychic is going to solve their problems for them. That's what puts you apart from the woo-woo factor. Is you're saying
I can't do that. It's not true. I can't tell you that Prince Charming is coming in on the white horse tomorrow, and this is exactly what he looks like, and blah blah blah. And people, when they start hammering me like that, I just can't deal with it. I just don't look. It ain't gonna happen. You want some creative ideas about some possibilities. Tell me a little bit about your background, and let me help you work through some career stuff. But yes, am I a professional career counselor? No. It's just that I've just, I've been in sales for many years. I've been around the block, and I have done spiritual counseling with literally thousands of people all over the world now. So I've heard a lot of stuff over the years, I can tell you, my friend. And I just feel like I can give people more grounded advice, but I'm not going to sit here and tell people what's going to happen in the future, because half the time, I spend half of my time in these sessions convincing somebody that they've got to take an action.
Exactly.
This is a problem I've had with The Secret, is that they act like the Lord is going to put a bolt of lightning in this living room today and make it happen for you. You have to get up off your keister and off of the Facebook and get out there in the society and start participating in this society for things to change for you.
And you see, this is exactly why I love Shelley Kaehr, because Shelley, you make sense.
Well, Rob, you're one of the only friends I've got that also makes sense, and that's why you and I have always gotten along so well. We're talking about the truth here.
Yeah.
And, sometimes the truth hurts, but guess what, people? If you need to go get up and work in a warehouse for a while until you get it back on your feet, humble yourself a little bit and realize, guess what? You're not any better than those people who are working over there who came up from Mexico.
Guess what, Shelley? I've got to take a break. Please stand by. Dr. Shelley Kaehr is my guest. ShelleyKaehr.com. We'll be back in a couple of minutes. Don't go away.
This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
19 Sergeant Central. 19 Sergeant, check. Officers on the scene.
Hi, I'm Larry Lawson, host of Paranormal Stakeout. With over 36 years in law enforcement, I have learned a few things. The most important is the proper gathering and preservation of evidence is vital to putting the bad guy behind bars. It's no different in the world of paranormal investigation. Whether it's the search for the afterlife, cryptozoology, UFOs, and extraterrestrials, how we gather the evidence, preserve that evidence, and present it to a jury of our peers will make the ultimate difference in proving the existence of worlds and entities that are beyond our imagination. Join me, Larry Lawson, every week on Paranormal Stakeout when, along with my guests, we'll take a journey to prove with indisputable evidence what man has struggled to believe for centuries. Go to xzbn.net for the broadcast schedule and check me out at paranormalstakeout.com.
True healing must address 4 levels: physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual, for us to live joyful and productive lives. We tend to treat 3 of the 4, leaving the spiritual languishing. If you're tired of the same dysfunctional patterns cropping up in your life, Soul Balancing is for you. Trixie Phelps, owner and founder of Soul Balancing, is a naturally gifted energy healer trained in numerous esoteric forms, including shamanism. Trixie has created a powerful modality that safely and effectively clears your energetic field. A Soul Balancing session can remove interference, heal trauma, and restore your hope. Contact Trixie for a life-changing long-distance session today, www.soulbalancing.world.
Dr. Shelley Kaehr is my special guest, a good long-time friend of the X-Zone. Her website is www.shelleykaehr.com. Shelley, it's always great having you on the show. As I was saying before, Shelley, we used to have psychics on the line. We used to open up the psychics on the show, open up the lines and let the callers come in and talk to the psychics. But what we found, Shelley, is that it was always the same people asking the same question. Like, am I going to find true love? It came to a point where I started interrupting the psychics and saying to the caller, does anybody know that you're looking for somebody? Does anybody know that you're looking for the job? What are you doing to make things happen? And you're right. With this secret, they made it sound as if, poof, you put a picture on your fridge, tomorrow morning you're going to walk out and there's going to be a Lamborghini in your driveway. Like, come on.
Oh, you're preaching to the choir here, my friend. I mean, I'm telling you. You know, there's a lot of, like, singles groups that people go to, and I'm convinced that the single people in the singles group are going to stay single because you're in a group of singles. You know what I mean? I just think the universe works differently than that.
Quickly, Shelley, we've got about 2 minutes, and you're going to be on in the next couple of weeks because I'd like to talk to you more about what we're talking to now and get the voice of reason out to the X-Zone Nation. What is your short take on December the 21st, 2012?
Okay, well, we've been talking about this for a long time. I feel that we're still going to be here. Obviously, we can look around us, and, you know, as pie in the sky as I've always been, we can now see there really is an economic downturn. There's chaos erupting, and I think that these are all part of the changes that are coming. But I think that some of the systems that have been in place are going to crumble, whether it's the economy or other things.
Let me ask you this, Shelley. Let me ask you this because we are running out of time very fast. Is it possible that the people who started the 2012 movement and have caused the people to get concerned, the population could be concerned, that it's the growing concern that is actually having the spiritual effect causing the damage? And that if we were to shift everything around, everything would get better?
There's no doubt. And it's the same with anything. Anything you're putting your attention on, you're just creating more of. But when so many people are putting their attention on this, then yes, they start to create those things. But despite what they create, the world is still going to be here, in my mind. It'll be different because guess what? Change is the only thing that we have no control over.
Very well said. Shelley, let our listeners know how they can find out more about you, dear.
Yeah, come on to my website at www.shelleykaehr.com. I've got some interesting stones that I've just put up online that I think the X-Zone will be interested in seeing that can assist us.
Yeah, the only stone...
watch the crumbling.
The only interesting stone my wife likes are the ones called diamonds.
Clever.
Oh, yeah. Shelley, take care of yourself, my dear friend. I always look forward to talking to you, and just keep the great work you're doing, because I know for a fact, Shelley, that you touch and help people at a spiritual level each and every day of your life. So thanks very much for being with us.
Thanks, Rob.
Take care, my friend. X-Zone Nation, Shelley Kaehr, www.shelleykaehr.com. I'll be back on the other side of this commercial break with the news at 6.5 minutes past the hour as we continue here in the X-Zone from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. 1-800-610-7035 is my toll-free number. Email xzone@xzoneradiotv.com. On MSN Messenger, xzoneradiotv@hotmail.com. And our website, www.xzoneradiotv.com. My name is Rob McConnell. This is the X-Zone. We'll be back after the news. Don't go away.